Hey everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm playing in the Tier 9 British light tank. It is the G-Saw. Now this vehicle, a lot like its predecessor, the LHMTV, it just doesn't feel quite right. But you know what, why don't we just get stuck into the gameplay and then you can make up the decision for yourself. So let's talk about the highlights of the G-Saw. Well, when you got this thing fully tricked out, you do have 40% camo in it, which is rather cool. And like the predecessor tank, you do have decent penetration for a Tier 9 light tank at 232 on its standard rounds, and you have a great penetration on its premium rounds at 254. Although, funnily enough, that penetration is kind of what the Tier 8 tank had, so when you step it up and you're going to not be meeting Tier 6 tanks anymore, and you're going to be meeting high-tier vehicles more often, like all of the Tier 10 tanks we see on the enemy team, it does get a little bit scary for the tank. The real highlights for this vehicle, I guess, are that it's got a little bit more view range than the previous tank. It's a little bit more mobile as well, now able to go at 65 kilometers an hour forwards and a fantastic 25 backwards. And so you can manage to make some getaways as long as you can deal with the fairly poor traverse speed of the British light tanks. Now, really, it's the size of the British light tanks if they have any saving grace. And this one is very small indeed. For some reason, it still only gets 40% camo rating when there are other Tier 8 and Tier 9 light tanks which seem to be bigger than this one that can achieve better camo ratings. I'm looking at ULT432 and vehicles like the Tier 9 French EBR90. Alright, so when I've been playing the G-Saw, I've really found that you have to try and work with the tank's strengths, and that is its size, and it's a fairly punchy gun. 230 alpha damage is definitely not great, but it's by no means terrible. And so what this means is that you're going to be able to still take chunks out of people. Now the real thing that I've had to work with while I've been playing this tank is just how awful the damage per minute is. Watch this rate of fire.
Enemy armor is hit.
Yeah, I just wish I was in a T-49 right now. I wish I was playing an American light tank. Maybe I would get to shoot more than once every... Wow, the rate of fire is awful. You can pretty much get it to about possibly 7 rounds a minute if you're willing to use a gun rammer and you have a fully tricked out crew and using pudding and tea on the tank. But even still, the accuracy on the tank at .36 base, which is kind of old STB1 levels, is not great. And when you look at how much ammunition we have, just look at the rounds over here, boys and girls. We have just a tiny amount of ammunition, 25 rounds at the start of the battle, of which we fired quite a few of them. And I quickly realized, well, I'm going to have to do something drastic if I want to win this battle. By just simply spamming at these tanks at distance while the enemy are coming in, it's really not going to have the hero role that I think that we need. So I figure out, okay, all of the enemies are towards the northeast. All of the enemies are to the southwest. But there's 2 other vehicles on the enemy team that seem to be left a little bit vulnerable. So we put 1 round into the 50 TP as we drive past him. We put a round into the M53-55, and now we're going to put another standard round into him. But you see, we've dabbed the 3 key once to load my single high explosive round. Now, I keep this high explosive round because it means that we're actually going to be able to take down this T92 in 2 shells. If we'd fired 230 alpha, we would have had to have wasted 3 rounds of standard ammunition on him. But by loading a high explosive round, we're actually able to roll a decent 337, and so we can finish up with a second hit. So that not only means that we get to kill the artillery faster before maybe he's able to take us out, we're also able to save a round of ammunition. So I always like to take 1 high explosive round. There have also been other games where I've managed to kill medium tanks by sneaking up behind them and hitting them for 300 alpha damage, so I definitely recommend taking just 1 in this tank. Alright, so we're trying to stop this 50 TP from interrupting my T55A, but I have to admit, part of me at the time was thinking, I really hope this guy would decap so we could manage to kill all of the enemy team, because it looks like we're pretty safe, right? We've got 2 artillery, we've got a Bat Chatillon, we've got a huge advantage towards the southwest flank, so surely we should be able to take this one down. And I'm just lapping it up right now, thinking these guys have to bum rush the cap circle, they have to try and interrupt it, and this is where you want to be. But oh dear, actually the 13105 on the enemy team shuts down the T55A, interrupting, so wow, we've now got a fight on our hands, boys and girls. So I decide to fire a high armor-piercing composite ridge round, not at the lower plate, but the weak point on top, because when you're playing in a light tank, you don't only have to load gold, you kind of have to load the gold and also aim at weak points quite often. Alright, so a full health E100 making himself towards me. We have 1 round of standard and 9 rounds of premium. And I'm just looking at this E100, he expects me to come around the corner. However, now, getting hit in the side, he turns his attention to someone else. So that's going to allow me to come around the corner and put a round into his vehicle. But just imagine, how am I meant to take these tanks out when they've got so many hit points? From the beginning of the battle, if I penetrate every single standard round for average damage in this tank, I have 6,000 potential damage. Now, if you take into account the poor penetration and the poor accuracy of the vehicle, you're firing at long range, 6,000, if you still hit 70% of your shells and you penetrate all of them, is going to go down to about like 4,000 total damage. And so you can understand that this vehicle does feel rather frustrating when you're just running out of ammunition at the end of the game and for some reason your team are unable to do the damage themselves. You can't really... I'm begging this mouse to just come and help me against this donker on the enemy team. There's a unicorn in a tier 10 Clan Wars reward tank, and I'm trying to fight against him with a tier 9 British light tank. We're going to have to use all of our wit to be able to achieve this. So I'm just trying to distract the T95 here. I know he's going to shoot at the mouse, and then that's going to give me an opportunity with his 440 alpha damage to come round and put a round into his lower plate and then go back. But oh, Mr. Mouse, please! No, I need these hit points. Okay, the mouse actually lets me out, which is very nice of him. And he's going to tank a shot from the Donker as well. You can see the Donker actually wants to shoot me, but that keeps my mouse alive. Not a bad trade. And I'm going to be able to progress and get his side. Now I'm worried about the E100 coming around the corner and hunting me. I'm keeping my attention on the Donker while also seeing what my team are doing. So I'm going to put one more round into the Donker's side. I'm hoping the mouse will penetrate any of his shells while avoiding the E100. And I'm quickly starting to realize that this game is looking rather dodgy indeed. Thankfully the mouse finally hits a shot, but I actually donk a shell there into the tracks of the E100, hoping that I could manage to get rid of them, but as I was on 747 hit points, to all intents and purposes he was going to kill me in a single shot 50% of the time. I thought I'd have to track him, lock him in place, maybe be able to get away, survive, better than still holding on to the round that I had. Now, however, I'm going to lock down his tracks, dealing 259 damage to his side, holding him in place for my mouse. Oh, come on, no, the E100 shuts him down. Okay, E75, come round, come on. Come on, follow me. I'm saying follow me. Come on, get his side. Yes, that's right. I'm telling him I've only got 2 shots left in this battle. How are we going to do more? He decides to ram an E100 for 300 damage taken. Mate, just finish him off. Thank you. Thank you, E75. Okay. So now we are in a seriously sticky situation, boys and girls. I'm telling the E75 I'm on my last shot. If I wasn't, then I could hunt this AMX 13105. He's on full hit points. And I quickly realized the only chance that I have to be able to win this battle is if I work together with the E75 to be able to amplify his damage. Now we're in a very awkward situation because, remember, I got 747 hit points. The tier 10 French auto-loading light tank has 390 alpha damage and carries 3 rounds. So all he needs to do is to penetrate 2 rounds on me or 2 rounds on the E75 and he's going to be able to shut us down. Now I realize I'm just begging the E75 right now to follow me. You can see I've done it multiple times. I say, mate, come on, come into the cap circle, because I know if I can get the E75 to come into the cap circle, we can maybe force the AMX 13105 to bounce a shell on the E75's armor, or I can avoid him. I know he probably wants to hunt me. He doesn't want to hunt the E75. That's what I would be doing if I was the tier 10 French light tank. Kill the light tank first, then I can run away from the heavy tank. That's what he wants to do. I ping the map again and again and again and again. I ask for him for help. We've got 1 minute and 50 seconds left on the game, but he's not doing anything. The MX 13105 has found me, and it looks like he wants to spend attention on me. And so I want to bait him. I know that I have to have the E75 firing rounds into the 13105 to be able to shut him down. The E75 just doesn't do anything. I'm asking him to cap, but he lets the 13105 get his side. Oh dear, boys and girls, what can you do? What can you do, right? What can you do in your British light tanks? What more could I have done? Ladies and gents, there's no way I'm going to run away from this 13105. He's on full hit points. He's just going to reload and come and shut me down. So I decide to go out the only way I can. Try and do as much ramming damage at the end of the battle as I can. The extra 56, maybe it will mean something. Put in the final round and at least go down kicking and screaming rather than whimpering in the cap circle. So an absolute heartbreak of a game here in the G, so I just don't know what more you're meant to do. You're in the worst possible matchup. You do 50% more damage in a vehicle that's really not meant to do a lot of damage than the rest of your team. You really try to do everything that you can to lock down your opponents and to assist the victory. But when it comes down to it, the British light tanks just don't have the damage per minute to be able to kill people quick enough to either keep yourself alive or to keep your team alive. And if you've had a very good game, then you don't have enough ammunition to be able to carry it anyway. Massive shout out, however, to the 13105 on the enemy team. 5,500 damage in a light tank and 6 kills. Great stuff and well done for winning your 1 versus 2 situation. I just really wish I'd had some ammunition to be able to fight back and to make it a fair engagement. So the G-Saw, This was the highest damage of any replay that I've seen uploaded on the WOT Replays website, either on the RU region or on the EU region. I don't think this tank is meant to do this much damage, boys and girls. It just feels so frustrating for me. I really don't think that limited ammunition on a tank should be a balancing factor for it. And when you've got to deal with worst-in-class damage per minute, not great alpha damage for its tier, just not even the best penetration for its tier, as well as 390 view range, does the 40% camo rating and the relatively small stature of the G-Sol really make up for all of these weaknesses? No, not really. Even when I've been trying my heart out in this tank, it has still been ending up to be a very frustrating vehicle to play. And now that the American light tanks are currently top of the tree on the European server, and there's loads of T-49s driving around with big alpha damage, I wouldn't really recommend to be playing too many British light tanks this month. But you know what? If you're a little bit of a masochist, don't let me stop you. Go and give them a try yourself and see how you feel. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this exciting game of World of Tanks. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and if you hated it, make sure you give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it's released on Sunday, it's time for a World of Tanks Tech Tree Showcase right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And this week, it looks like I'm not going to be able to escape British light tanks, as I unlocked the Manticore on Thursday, and 600 of you have voted, with the majority picking the Tier 10 British light tank. And so come along right now as I christen it the Manticore in its first ever Tech Tree Showcase, so you can see all of the drama along the line, and maybe I can give you a few tips and tricks along the way. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. Tech Tree Showcases are still one of my favorite things to do during the week, and thank you so much to you all for coming and supporting them. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you soon.